What is up guys, Jarv here, back today jumping into Destiny 2. Now today we're taking a look at the ultimate PvE weapons for any activity. So if you want to find out the best arsenal that you need to get together in order to tackle any task inside Destiny 2, then be sure to stick around and enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a comment and rating down below. And remember to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. Now, as seasons rotate throughout the year and we see the introduction of new activities alongside the Pillarstone activities that make Destiny 2 the game it is today, things like raids, dungeons, strikes and various other activities like secret exotic missions. In order to tackle these incredible experiences, we need some of the best weapons available. So the video today is going to show you some of the best weapons available in the game, regardless of the activity that you're jumping into inside PvE. Now, as always with videos like this, I've added timestamps to the video description below as well, so feel free to use those to jump around. But with that being said, let's jump into our first weapon. This comes in the form of Fatebringer. Now this legendary kinetic hand cannon has been reprised from the Vault of Glass, and if you haven't got one, once again you'll need to jump into that raid inside Destiny 2 to get your hands on one. Now unlike the Fatebringer of old, Fatebringer inside Destiny 2 comes with random rolls. Now as we can see from the legendary traits here, there are 6 traits in each column, meaning that it shouldn't be too difficult to get a good roll. With that being said though, it has taken over 50 rolls in order to get the roll that I've got in this video. But with that being said, the standout perks are most definitely something like Rewind Rounds or Explosive Payload in the first column, or Frenzy or Firefly in the second column. I have Explosive Payload and Frenzy on this hand cannon, and it makes it an absolutely deadly weapon in pretty much any piece of PvE content. Now alongside some of these powerful perks, it also has some of the best base weapon stats available in the archetype. Its recoil stat is 98, making it almost perfectly vertical. It also has one of the highest aim assist stats across any 140 RPM hand cannon, making it one of the stickiest and accurate hand cannons in the game. Now another thing to bear in mind is in end game content we'll see many more champions. Now with hand cannons getting the overload mod this season, it allows us to take advantage of Fatebringer more often, and at being 140 RPM it means it's very consistent at applying the debuff to champions. And finally, another thing to consider with Fatebringer is this can roll with Osmosis, so by using your grenade ability, that would change the weapon's damage type to match that of your subclass. So if you're going to be jumping into Grandmasters later this season, not only will this be useful for overload champions, but if you can get one with Osmosis, then it adds an extra element to your arsenal when jumping into GMs later this season. Now our next weapon today is the Salvager's Salvo. This is a legendary energy grenade launcher, which if you haven't got this, it was obtainable through the Season of Chosen ritual weapon quest that you could pick up from the gunsmith over in the tower. Now Salvager's Salvo was already an incredibly popular weapon inside PvE, most notably because it comes with spike grenades, ambitious assassin, and chain reaction, where each final blow with the weapon will create a elemental damage explosion. It makes it an absolute god tier weapon when it comes to ad clear, which is fantastic for activities like override and any other horde based mode. Now naturally this was always going to make the list, however it's been elevated this season due to the importance of grenade launchers overall. Much like hand cannons and Fatebringer that had overloads applied to them, grenade launchers have unstoppable mods on this season's artifact. And when you pair that with Breach and Clear, one of the strongest debuffs available and absolutely critical for endgame content, also being available on the artifact and again applied to grenade launchers, it puts grenade launchers in an incredibly strong place. Now the great thing about this being a ritual weapon is you don't have to worry about the roll on the weapon. It's pretty much entirely fixed, giving the option between Ambitious Assassin and Demolitionist and Vorpal Weapon and Chain Reaction. So whether you're going for ad clear or out and out boss damage, you have complete flexibility with the perks that are at your disposal. Salvager's Salvo is one of the best, if not the best, legendary energy grenade launcher inside Destiny 2. So if you haven't completed that quest back from Season of the Chosen, be sure to do so and get your hands on one of the strongest weapons in the game. Now next on our list we have the exotic power machine gun Xenophage. This was introduced back in Shadowkeep and it has the exotic intrinsic trait Pyrotoxin Rounds, and this is where it fires high powered explosive ammunition. Now Xenophage has some of the deepest pockets on any machine gun inside Destiny 2, and with its deep ammo reserves and ease of use, it makes it the perfect partner for PvE content. Inside the Vault of Glass, I use this almost exclusively, with the exception of boss encounters, as it's fantastic for clearing ads, taking out hobgoblins, creating warmind cells, and even defeating oracles in a single round. So it has fantastic utility, as well as the ability to deliver incredible damage to a single target. Now if you're looking to unlock some of this utility that the Xenophage has, you'll need the Wrath of Rasputin and Rage of Rasputin mods, and these can be made available over in the tower. So if these are missing from your mod mod collection, be sure to keep those peepers peeled, because with those equipped, Xenophage can create Warmind cells just as efficiently as a Seraph weapon. And if you pair that with a Seraph or IKELOS weapon, then you'll be able to continuously create your own Warmind cells, making Ad Clear an absolute breeze. So if you haven't finished the exotic quest for Xenophage, be sure to do so and add this weapon to your arsenal. Now speaking of those IKELOS and Seraph SMGs, that brings us nicely onto the IKELOS SMG 102. This one is an aggressive frame, so has high damage and high recoil, and the Seraph VY7 is a precision frame, so this weapon's recoil pattern is more predictably vertical. Now both the IKELOS and Seraph weapons have the ability to generate Warmind cells, spawning one roughly every 5th kill. And if you pair this with Xenophage, the previous weapon we covered in this video, you'll have a very strong Warmind cell build, which is perfect for clearing ads in any PvE piece of content. Now both of these SMGs are incredibly strong. Now with the recent changes to recoil, I have a personal preference over the 7th Seraph VY7. Not only does this have more range, it also has better stability, while still having a high aim assist stat comparable with the IKELOS, and also the same recoil stat too. So statistically the VY7 is a more stable SMG, but once again with the overload mod also being applied to SMGs this season, either one of these SMGs would be an absolute asset to your loadout. Now fortunately both of these weapons have a very small perk pool, so it should be too difficult to get a decent roll. I have Ambitious Assassin and Dragonfly on my 7th Seraph VY7, and as for the IKELOS, once again this has a small perk pool too, and I have Threat Detector and Surrounded with a Surrounded spec mod. Either of these are fantastic rolls, so be sure to check your vault guys to see if you have any hidden gems lurking away gathering some dust. Now changing it up ever so slightly, this moves us nicely on to the Null Composure. This is a legendary energy fusion rifle. This one's rapid fire frame and is available through the ritual weapon quest available in Season of the Splicer. Now being a ritual weapon, this once again has a curated role with the ability to switch between Feeding Frenzy, Heating Up, which is a brand new perk where final blows with the weapon increase accuracy and stability while improving vertical recoil, alongside Reservoir Burst, which was reworked this season and reprised alongside high impact reserves. Now not only is this a fantastic weapon for ad clear as a result of Reservoir Burst, this is actually a DPS beast. This weapon is a perfect addition to any raid loadout, especially when you pair it with other weapons, something like Anarchy and also Breach and Clear, because not only does Breach and Clear apply a debuff, which will help increase all your damage output, it will also reload any stowed weapons, and by reloading your Null Composure, it means you'll be able to trigger Reservoir Burst continuously over and over again. Now the thing with Reservoir Burst is when your battery is full, your next burst deals additional damage and causes enemies to explode on death, and it's the additional damage piece that's really critical here. By delivering additional damage on a rapid fire frame fusion rifle, not only does this fire incredibly fast, it also has deeper ammo reserves too, which means throughout DPS phases, it's very unlikely you'll need to even reload this weapon. Now the Null Composure isn't the only weapon that can have Reservoir Burst. The Plug 1, which is available through the Nightfalls, can also roll with this perk too. However, that fusion rifle is a precision frame, so it fires slightly slower and doesn't have the deep ammo reserves. But regardless of which one of those fusions you choose to use, either one of those is an absolute asset to have in any piece of PvE content. Now next up on our list we have the Chroma Rush. This is a legendary kinetic auto rifle. This one is also rapid fire frame, so has deeper ammo reserves and a faster reload when your magazine is empty. If you haven't got your hands on a Chroma Rush, you can get this via the override activity in Season of the Splicer. Now initially this weapon was overlooked as a rapid fire frame auto, which aren't usually meta. However, when some good rolls were obtained, it quickly became apparent this is an absolute beast, an absolute shredder in PvE content. Now fortunately this weapon has a small perk pool too, with only 6 perks in each column, with 12 individual perks overall. Now with some of the changes made going into this season, specifically regarding subsistence, where defeating targets partially reload the magazine from reserves, this really helps a weapon like Chroma Rush out, especially inside PvE content. Now on the roll that I have in this video, I have Feeding Frenzy and Kill Clip. Now that is a very good roll, especially for the Crucible, but if you're looking for the absolute god roll for PvE, then you're probably looking for Subsistence and Rampage, with the extra damage dealt with Rampage, which stacks up to 3 times by getting kills with the weapon, and a continuous reload it will grant you by getting kills and reloading from your ammo reserves, which are deeper as a result of it being a rapid fire frame, you'll be in a position where you're dealing incredible amounts of damage, clearing entire armies of adds, and never having to reload this weapon. It's almost like having Action War Rig equipped without actually wearing the exotic. Now the thing that really makes this weapon stand out is its incredible stability. It has stability of 60, which you can further enhance through various barrel options. It's an absolute laser beam, making it an absolute breeze to hit your target and take them out as efficiently as possible. So if you haven't managed to get a good roll, specifically Subsistence Rampage from the Override activity just yet, I highly recommend you take the time to jump in and add this to your arsenal. Now moving back to the energy slot, this brings us nicely onto the Vision of Confluence. This is a legendary energy scout rifle, one which deals solar damage, and this one's available through the Vault of Glass raid. Now this one is precision frame, so the weapon's recoil pattern is more predictably vertical. Now much like Fatebringer, this is no longer a fixed roll, and it has a perk pool of 6 perks per column with 12 different perks overall. Once again, much like Fatebringer, it has some new perks available to it, and can even roll with Firefly, where precision kills with the weapon will increase your reload speed and cause targets to explode. Now this is an absolutely incredible scout rifle, made even more potent by the fact that the barrier mod for this season has been applied to scout rifles too. Now one of the most popular community roles currently is ricochet rounds, rewind rounds, and Firefly, which is an absolutely beastly scout rifle. Now a personal favourite of mine, and one that I feel is firmly underrated, is Wellspring and Thresh. Now Wellspring is where kills with a weapon will generate ability energy, and Thresh is where killing combatants with a weapon will generate a small amount of super energy. So if you like your abilities and your super very often, then those two perks together have perfect synergy and will be perfect when jumping into Grandmaster content later in the season. Now it's very well known that scout rifles aren't always in the greatest place inside Destiny 2, and with any changes that Bungie look to make to scout rifles in the future, having a good roll on something like the Vision of Confluence and even the Trustee scout rifles, which are both top tier weapons, will only stand you in good stead for any changes Bungie chooses to make. But putting those future changes aside, having the Vision of Confluence in your arsenal is an absolute must and will often form a key part of your loadout jumping into GMs and even the Atheon encounter if you jump into the Vault of Glass raid. Now another weapon which is an absolute asset to have in raid and GM activities is the Succession. This is a legendary kinetic sniper rifle available through the Deepstone Crypt raid. This one is an aggressive frame, so deals high damage and has high recoil. Now this is a huge favourite of mine, and I rarely take this off. It is that good. It's a fantastic partner to pretty much any loadout, especially inside PVE. Now fortunately, like the other raid weapons from the Vault of Glass in the Deepstone Crypt, they have 6 perks per column, with 12 individual perks overall. Now the absolute god roll is pretty much what I have on my roll right here, which is Extended Magazine, Reconstruction, and Vorpal Weapon. Now Reconstruction is where the weapon slowly reloads itself over time, up to double the capacity, and then Vorpal Weapon will increase your damage against any bosses, vehicles, or guardians in their super. And with Extended Magazine as well, this only further increases our magazine size. Now when looking back at any Grandmaster loadout, the Succession form part of pretty much every fire team. Not only does it hit hard, but it has deep pockets, and by regenerating ammo over time into the magazine, it makes taking out champions from distance an absolute breeze. Now whilst this has high damage, it has high recoil, but it also has one of the highest recoil stats in its archetype of 80, making it surprisingly stable considering the kick it has after each shot. But once you get used to the kick on the weapon, it'll be very hard to put down. Now the weapon has a medium zoom, giving it excellent utility, so whether that be clearing trash adds, dealing damage to bosses, shooting oracles, or even taking out champions, or simply shooting Warmind cells, you'll never have to worry about reloading it, but anything that it does hit, you'll hit hard. So as long as you have a special ammo finder, you'll be swimming in ammo with a very deadly weapon in your loadout. So if you haven't got your hands on a God Roll Succession just yet, be sure to continue to run the Deepstone Crypt to get your hands on one. Now this moves us nicely onto our penultimate weapon today, and that's the Witherhoard. This is the exotic kinetic grenade launcher introduced in Season of Arrivals. It has the exotic trait Primeval's Torment, where projectiles fired by this weapon blight the target or nearby areas on impact. It also has Break the Bank, where blighted targets take damage over time and blight the nearby area on death. Now the Witherhoard does have an exotic catalyst, which not only helps it generate orbs of power, but gives it plus 40 on its handling stat, pretty much maxing it out, making it a very agile weapon to use. Now the Witherhoard is a fantastic add and boss clear weapon. In fact, when you pair it with Breach and Clear, it's absolutely top tier. Now the blights it leaves on impact, or even after defeating a combatant, will tick for a long period of time, and it's that tick damage in particular that makes this weapon so strong. Now much like the Salvager's Salvo, which we covered earlier in the video, this can also take advantage of the Unstoppable mod for the champions this season, again increasing its utility. So not only is the intrinsic perks on this weapon incredibly strong, this will also benefit from Breach and Clear, as well as the Unstoppable champion mod. So if you're looking to run any piece of endgame content, whether that be dungeons, raids, or Grandmaster Nightfalls, then having a Witherhoard is an absolutely good shout. Now the Witherhoard is often referred to if Mountaintop and Anarchy had an evil baby. This would be it. It's perfect for clearing ads, easier than anything that I've ever seen, and takes massive chunks out of any mages or bosses that you come up against. So if you haven't got the Witherhoard in your loadout right now, be sure to check your vault to see if it's in there gathering some dust, and further still, if you haven't completed the exotic catalyst, be sure to take the time to do so to help generate those extra orbs of power and make this one of the easiest weapons you'll ever use inside PvE. And last but no means least, the ultimate weapon for your PvE loadout is Anarchy. This is the exotic powerful grenade launcher introduced back in Season of the Forges. It comes with the exotic intrinsic trait Arc Traps. This is where grenades stick to surfaces and chain arc bolts to other mines. It also has Moving Target, which will increase your movement speed and target acquisition when you're moving and aiming down sights. Now Anarchy was already an incredibly strong weapon and almost formed part of pretty much every endgame loadout inside Destiny 2. But with the addition of Breach and Clear this season, Anarchy is even harder to put down. Not only does it stack with Anarchy, Anarchy also takes advantage of the Unstoppable mod, which is also applied this season. So much like Witherhoard, the previous weapon we covered in this video, Anarchy can take advantage of all the same things, except this time you can attach grenades to targets that deal tick damage over time. This is an absolute godsend for Grandmaster Nightfalls and makes bosses inside raids look like mages out on patrol. It's that good. Now, if you don't have your hands on the Anarchy, you can get it from the terminal over in the tower, but you will need many Spores of Conquest in order to get your hands on it. Now, it is possible to farm Spores of Conquest in the Vault of Glass raid, specifically at the Templar encounter. So if you are struggling to get Spores of Conquest to finally get your hands on Anarchy, be sure to put those fire teams together and jump into the vault to get those last Spores of Conquest that you need. Now, whilst that will take a lot of time and effort, it's highly worth it for getting your hands on one of the best weapons in the game. So there we have it, a good look at 10 incredible weapons that you should most definitely be making sure you have part of your loadout jumping into any PvE content inside Destiny 2. If you've enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a comment and rating down below, and remember to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. I'm going to jump back into the game as always, guys, and I will catch you all again very soon.